So all those other videos are trying to get your clicks. I'm trying to get you the truth. Let's talk about the pros and cons of moving to Idaho. Hey, Dave Edwards, Treasure Valley Dave here, and another report from the road. I want to talk with you about the pros and cons of living in Idaho, and not some kind of clickbaity thing, or I'm not someone that's never been to Idaho, just looking at other people's interpretations of stuff about Idaho. I want to talk with you as someone who lived many other places and now lives in Idaho by choice. And I want to go through these pros and cons and give you my opinion and see what you think. So let's just get right to that. As soon as I tell you about my website, www.treasurevalleydave.com, it's a great place for many different resources. So go check that out. So the pros and cons of living in Idaho. So this is from moverjunction.com. They're, I think, a moving company portal where you could sign up and reach potential movers that way. But I thought they had a pretty decent list of pros and cons of living in Idaho. So let's just kind of go through those. So some of the pros, homes are fairly affordable in Idaho. Sure, they're not as cheap as they used to be, but they're not bad, especially when, and I just looked this morning comparing, say, Nampa to Sacramento. Sacramento market is on fire compared to Nampa. Nampa's doing good. Sacramento's going crazy. I hate to see what it's going to do once spring gets here. A con is Idaho residents are known for living a solitary lifestyle. That's a con? I don't know. There's a lot of people that, including me, just want to be left alone. You know, let me have my yard, my property, and be a good neighbor. And but you know, don't put up your tent in my front yard and start moving in and stuff like that. It's like solitary. That just means that you want your privacy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Although there are plenty of things to do here. So if you're sitting around lonely, well, that's your own fault, because there are so many things to do, so many great people that you need to know about. And you can, heck, you just go down to the store and stand in line and start up a conversation. You'll be fine. Idaho has a booming job market. That's true. We have a lot of economic activity going on here. So we need more workers. We have very low unemployment here. Is it the same job that you had before? Is it going to be paying the same that it had before? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But that's for you to kind of do some research, find out. But do remember this: your first job here doesn't have to be a forever job here. I'm going to guess probably by like your third job here, after a couple, 18 months maybe, you're going to be settled into a really nice job that you are going to be happy going to every day. So another con is Idaho's population is growing very fast. Well, it is growing very fast, but let's keep things in perspective. We started out with this many people, and then we added this many. So yeah, it feels like a lot. Here in California, you get that many people coming in, streaming in, maybe on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And you don't even notice it because there's 40 million people to start with. We're not even 2 million here. The San Francisco Bay Area has got 9 million people. We're not even 2 million in the entire state. So yeah, the populations are growing fast, but keep things in perspective. Another pro is we have below average property crime rate. Okay, I can understand that. I can tell you, well, we'll get to that in a little bit. Winters can be really harsh in Idaho. Yeah, there's places that winters can really be bad, that are as bad as, say, Nebraska winters. But right there in the Treasure Valley, we're surrounded by those mountains, so we have very mild temperatures. Probably the big thing is we don't have that constant wind. I'm currently in Nebraska visiting family, and good night, you go outside and it's just wind, 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 wind all the time. So whether it's hot or whether it's cold, you got the wind. And it's just, if it's cold out, that wind just makes it terribly cold. And when it's hot out, it's just humid. And it's like standing in an air fryer or something. Another pro is Idaho has below average violent crime rate. Very good. A con is there's no functioning public transport system in Idaho. That's not entirely true. There in the Treasure Valley, we do have a public bus line that goes between the different towns and then within the towns. Do we have a I know, a light rail service that takes up valuable street space and costs the state, millions and millions and millions of dollars. That's really just a program for cronies. No, we don't have that. Are there cronies that would love to get that here? Yes, I'm sure there would be, but we have enough sensible politicians here that so far that type of thing hasn't happened. To make sure that we continue with those sensible politicians here, please get up here and help us vote. To get the rhinos out and to get the libs out, we need Idaho to stay free. Another pro is cities in Idaho make efforts to be clean and organized. That's very true. Even Boise's run by a communist-ish mayor, but the city is still very clean. It's very attractive. There's not homeless people all over the place. And then cities like Nampa, Wallet Hub again has voted Nampa the best well-run small city in the entire country year after year, and it is. It's just a nice place to live, and they're very frugal with their dollars that you pay into taxes. Another con, you'll have to put up with cultural concentration in Idaho. I'm not even sure what that means. Does that mean that there's a lot of white people, a lot of Christian ethic? Yeah, I'm afraid there is. If that's something, if you hate white people and you don't like Christians, Idaho's probably not the place for you. Whether you're a Christian or not, whether you're white or not, it doesn't really matter at all. But that's the culture we have up here, and I think it's nice. It's friendly. Everybody's friendly and honest, and you can leave it, your garage door open all day, you're at work or whatever. Wake up in the morning and find it's been open all night. You don't have to worry that someone's come in and taken your stuff. It's just that, now, I'm not saying that Idaho's perfect and we don't have bad stuff that happens, but by and large, you compare what we have here to even some good places in California, we're just so much better. Idaho resident, and this is a pro, Idaho residents are friendly people. Absolutely they are. And the thing is, half of them came from California. There's a lot of friendly people in California. Not as many as there used to be because they've kind of moved to other places. But those friendly people have moved up here to Idaho too. And they're Idahoans at heart. And they're just good people. A con is housing markets are gradually becoming expensive in Idaho. That's true. It costs more now than it did. It actually costs less than it did a year ago. So I think maybe things are relative. And speaking of relative, if you look at your prices in, say, Sacramento right now, they are going up faster than they are, say, in Nampa. I just checked those numbers this morning. So it's all relative. Let's go on to the next one. Another pro is there are tons of exciting outdoor activities in Idaho. I'm sure you know that. I know you've done your research. You know that there's camping and hiking and everything from horse riding to getting on your quads and fishing, boating. You know the whole thing. Oh, I'm starting to sound like that one guy. No, not Corn Pop, the other guy. A con, Idaho only has a few shopping options. So this is what I was getting back to before we're talking about crime. You know what? We haven't had any Walgreens closed down because so many people are coming in and stealing stuff on a constant basis. So we have Walgreens, if you want to shop at Walgreens. What we don't have is IKEA. We're still a couple 100,000 people away in the Treasure Valley from meeting the threshold for IKEA. But you know what? There's this great service. There's these people over in Boise that they make runs to IKEA over in, I guess, Seattle, or maybe down to Salt Lake City. So you can put in your order and they make a run and they get the stuff for you. Well, that's pretty handy. What other shopping things do you need? I'm not sure, but you know what? We do have internet here now. So if there's something online you need, you can go that route too. Let's see, another pro is you'll enjoy all 4 seasons in a year in Idaho. That's true. Sometimes you'll enjoy all 4 seasons in a day. Well, recently I know that we've been experiencing that. But that is what is so true too. And I've heard so many people say this. Some of our clients have said this is like where they lived, it was like just absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, like in the San Diego area, but it was the same thing day after day after day after day. Here you have winter, and just about the time you get tired of winter, spring starts, and everything feels so fresh. And about the time you get tired of spring, you're wishing, gosh, I wish it was warm enough to go, up to the dam and do stuff in the water. And then it's summertime, and you're out there doing all that fun summer stuff. And then it's nice and hot, and the evenings cool down. You have the barbecues. And about the time you get tired of that, guess what? It's pumpkin spice time. It becomes fall. The days are a little bit cooler. The leaves start falling. And it just gives you a sense of like, oh my gosh, some change is coming. And then about the time you're tired of fall, winter comes. Maybe you'll get that first snow. Sometimes it happens on Christmas Eve. And it just feels like so special. It's like at Christmas when the snow in the yard, and maybe sometimes, like I say, comes down on Christmas Eve, and it's just very nice. And now you're getting kind of tired of the snow and the cold. Spring is right around the corner. So those 4 distinct seasons in a year are great. In a day, it can try your patience. So a con is the state is politically concentrated. What does that mean? You have to dilute it with water? Oh no, that's orange juice. I guess what that means is that we're only 15% of the voters are registered as Democrats. I guess the rest of the voters would be Republicans, and maybe there's some small parties like the Constitution Party thrown in there too. Politically, well, most people are somewhat conservative. I'm going to say most people in Idaho live a pretty conservative life. Back to that, let me do what I want and leave me alone, and I'll leave you alone. That kind of an attitude seems to permeate most places here. Yes, that mayor in Boise, she's doing her best to, be a wannabe Portland or something. She's not a native Idahoan. She came from Boston, so don't blame communism on homegrown Idahoans. But I think they got bamboozled. So we need your help to come up here to help us vote those kind of things out. I know where you've lived, you've experienced, this, whatever you want to call it, socialism, communism, this big government stepping in to create crisis. Like Hillary said, never let a good crisis go to waste. So some of the natives, Idahoans, they never experienced that, and they always hope for the best of somebody. You guys are smart enough to know that that's not always the case. So when you come up here, you know which lever to pull when it comes time to vote. All right, the next pro is country music is a way of life. All righty. If you like country music, that's great. I know they got a lot of country music up here. I know they got a lot of classic rock up here too. They're bringing some of the dinosaurs of rock out to the different venues in the local area, and they just get filled up. People are just absolutely I don't know. They really enjoy their rock and roll here. I've got a friend that's into blues really bad or good. And so I think we have just about everything here. The one thing that I haven't noticed, though, is that when you pull up to a stoplight, that the pickup next to you is blaring their country music and going thumpity, thumpity, thump. I don't notice that. Nor do I notice rap or anything else. It's just most people they like to treat others like they'd like to be treated. So a con, you'll have to put up with gun laws in Idaho. That's a con. I wonder what kind of person wrote this. Oh, you'll have to put up with people wanting to take responsibility for themselves and their family and their community and make sure the bad guys don't get a foothold here. Okay. So I noticed we had a shooting at the mall. The mall's private property, and the owners of the mall said no guns on that. So some whack job wants to go make a name for himself in the press. Where does he go? He goes to the place where there's no guns. Because even though he's a whack job, he ain't stupid. Put up with the gun laws. No, I think that should be over in the pro category. You get gun laws. You have your gun permit is the Second Amendment. All right, another pro. It's easy to access major services in Idaho. All righty. I don't know about that. I haven't accessed major services. I mean, I've used the VA. That was pretty easy. A con is Idaho only has a few options for luxury shopping. Well, I mean, if you need Saks Fifth Avenue, you might want to move to New York. Because we don't have one here that I know of. We might have one, and I've never been there. That's okay too. But we have a lot of options for shopping. You know, one thing that we do have here, because it's easier to have a business here, we see a lot of small mom and pop shops here. Um, a friend of mine makes soap and sells it at the flea markets. And so there's a lot of opportunities for shopping that you might not have where you are. Maybe all you had was like franchise corporate stuff. Maybe all you had was Walgreens, and now that's gone. We do have shopping options that I think you'll find sufficient. But if you really do need to go to Saks Fifth Avenue, guess what? You can take a flight out there, make a long weekend of it, come back, and then enjoy Idaho. And the last pro they have here is if you love sports, you'll enjoy living in Idaho. Well, very good. I really don't have a whole lot to add to that, but I'm going to just take that at face value. So there's our pros and cons with some honest Treasure Valley Dave commentary with them. So you're not getting all sucked into all that clickbait stuff. You have something that you can really, take to the bank. Okay, not that one bank, not the one that got closed down. But anyway, thank you for coming by. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. That helps so much. And until next time, well, this is Treasure Valley Dave. Looking forward to helping you get home.